Ever argued about who would win in Dragon Ball? Take a breath. Today, I'll calmly show you that power levels were never just numbers on a spreadsheet. They've always been a narrative device, just a bit of seasoning. Once we realize that, the story gets much more fun. Reminder, official Dragon Ball power levels only go up to the Frieza Saga, which not many people know. If you've watched videos about power levels from sagas like Cell, Majin Buu, or Dragon Ball Super, it's all made up, or rather just estimated. Let's begin again, but from a new perspective. At the end of Dragon Ball Classic, Piccolo destroys the moon to prevent the Ozaru transformation, not to showcase moon-level power. What does that say? The world has escalated, shifting from comedy to the fantastic. From that point on, anything above that level involves forces beyond ordinary human understanding. This changes the dramatic rule for the first time, or rather, reinforces what was already done. Done by Master Kame, in the Saiyajin Saga, the bar shifts again. Many remember discussions about Vegeta's scouter and multipliers, but I focus on the choice of fighting. There's Shinhan Seguru Nappa using the Kikuru, a technique that trades life for power. You sacrifice yourself, triggering Gohan's power surge from emotion. And the message is simple. It's not just about how much Kai you have, it's also about how much you're willing to spend, and with what tool. Showing from that point that power wasn't everything, the Kaioken appears. Exactly to illustrate cost, you turn it on, you pay. The higher it is, the more expensive. Spending all your free time watching anime videos online will cost you a lot. I have an interesting message for you. Have you noticed how much the world has changed recently? We're always connected, and as technology advances, one thing grows stronger: Bitcoin. Since I started talking about this here on the channel just over a month ago, Bitcoin has already increased in value by more than 15%. And well, we all need goals in life, freedom. Yes, you need Bitcoin. Why? Bitcoin delivered the best returns over the past decade, averaging over 70% annual growth. The real dropped over 50% against the dollar, while Bitcoin rose over 4,000%. Today, that's already reality. There are only 21 million Bitcoins worldwide, with 19 million already mined. Bitcoin is becoming scarce, and there's not enough for everyone. Buying now could mean future sovereignty. Who can hold on to it? Your money can't be confiscated, making this a way to both protect and diversify your assets. If you're curious about Bitcoin but didn't know where to start, now is the time. MB Latin America's largest digital asset platform has an exciting campaign for new clients. It's simple. Open your free account and under 5 minutes invest at least 50 Ries in Bitcoin and you're done. Within 7 days, you get 25 Ries credited to your MB account to use as you wish. Now is the best time to invest in the currency of the future. It's the ideal opportunity to begin. With a platform offering transparency and full security, complying with the Central Bank, Comissão de Valores Mobiliários, and Ambima. And to join, it's very simple. Just scan the QR code that's on the screen with your phone, or access it through the link in the description and pinned comment. Even if you're not investing now, download the app, create an account, and explore. Knowledge is the first step. Bitcoin is more than a trend, it's a game changer. Your future self will thank you for your actions today. Stop watching your money lose value. Stop neglecting your future and your families. Link in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you, MB. Goku's journey on Snake Way, gravity training, and Zenkais. When a Saiyajin nearly dies, recovers, and returns stronger. All of these are narrative devices to allow a protagonist to catch up to antagonists who are already at the top. The antagonist is born at the top, the hero has to climb. Without this step, there's no tension. The Saiyajin Saga in Dragon Ball handles this well. I watched it again last month and finished the whole thing. These power jumps are a big reason the Saiyajin Saga is so fun. There was already plenty of talk about power levels, but Namekusei just became an endless spreadsheet. When Goku turns the fight against the Ginyu Force, it's not the screen's numbers that matter. He shapes his own power. With that, he uses speed, pattern reading, and a martial arts stance that the series sometimes forgets he has. Ginyu basically steals Goku's body. In other words, it's a pure special ability that doesn't just come down to fighting power. Still, it doesn't work. He switches bodies with Goku, but loses. Raw power without time A is wasted. This is a consistent point in Dragon Ball, but it's rarely mentioned in debates about fighting power or scaling. Besides that, a lot of people say that Dragon Ball is the anime of hyperboles. But yes, we can work with the concept that feats are superior to statements, always. Want a simple example of how context changes everything? Vegeta threatens to destroy Earth, but in many later battles the mountains remain. Inconsistency? Not necessarily. Many battles involve restraint, with opponents holding back, aiming high, shooting from afar, or focusing on technique instead of destruction. The scene reveals more about the protagonist, who now wants to save someone or test his limits, not destroy the stage. And the storytelling ends up guiding the physics, giving poetic license to battles where, basically, a sneeze would already destroy everything. Kaioken, transformations, Super Saiyajin, levels, mastery, all alter ki delivery but have a cost. Kaioken strains the body, Super Saiyajin strains the mind. Needing to be controlled, Blue also demands much more control. Ultra Instinct in Goku's case even requires emotional discipline. If the character doesn't pay the price, it comes in the form of stamina, precision, or even self-injury. That's how a weaker one can win. He pays the right price at the right timing. That's why Piccolo dominated Frost in the Universe 7 martial arts tournament against Universe 6, and Frost only won because he cheated. But anyway, let's go back to Namek, but this is part 2, the scene where Goku walks around Bata as if time had stopped. It's not a high number, it's basically battle reading. Rikem himself takes a clean hit and goes down. This covers openings, fighting, adjustment, distance, and situational awareness, qualities of a true martial artist. That's what Goku is, unlike most other aliens in Dragon Ball. When Frieza reveals each new form, the game becomes about endurance, adaptation, and emotional triggers. Becoming a Super Saiyajin comes from emotional loss, not just power. A fan-made database estimates values for nearly everything after the Cell Saga. It's cool for visualizing the order of magnitude, cool for comparing milestones within the same arc, but that's it, just fan estimates. And depending on how well-founded it is, you can use it as a benchmark for above or below within the arc, tied to the scenes. For example, if a character is presented as being in the trillion range there, I check if he showed proportional feats in that arc. What explosion did he endure? What barriers did he break? Who did he fight? Essentially, how intense were his confrontations? And you can already easily deduce power. Most of the most viewed videos here on the channel are videos where I not only gather the data, but also deduce. No one complains in the comments, because this comparison is more effective than just giving a number. But what are the rules that save your sanity? Concrete actions are worth more than statements, Lay. What is done in context? There was containment, an arena with a barrier, an empty world. Or were there innocent people nearby? Local coherence matters more than global. If the arc works within its rules, is that acceptable? Skill and clever hacks can beat brute force. The better tool usually wins. Official numbers only go up to the Cell Saga. After that, it's just estimates, not official. And even Akira Toriyama himself abandoned this concept of power levels. Fights. I can even talk about that in this video. The Cell Saga organizes power level tracking more systematically. Without those numbers, everyone. There's the hyperbolic time chamber and Super Saiyajin levels up to 1-4. I'm not sure if you know about that. There's a measure of efficiency. Goku and Gohan decide to train to maintain the Super Saiyajin state as their functional base, reduce waste, and even breathe with the engine running. They spend days and weeks in Super Saiyajin form. It's a great analogy for athletes who learn to compete without freezing at their peak. You can mention base and performance multiplier, but the real difference isn't just being 1% stronger. Do you understand? Let's take, for example, Cell. Cell regenerates, copies techniques, and manipulates psychologically. By creating the Cell Juniors, he damages team morale. When he inflates to destroy Earth, he pressures a quick decision. Much more than just power, the villain had a lot of resources. Goku recognizes that he's reached his limit, so he decided to pass the baton to Gohan. Gohan unlocks his potential. Not by multiplier, but by emotional trigger again. In Focus 2, he trained a lot. Super Saiyajin 2 is at least 50 times stronger than Super Saiyajin 1. He delivered everything without letting his anger trip him up, which is rarely discussed. Especially in this new community on the channel that enjoys discussing power scaling. The number is interesting, but only when it explains a plot choice. Up until the Cell Saga, the story plays with readings and detectors. But from that point on, Toriyama drops the spreadsheet. So if I mention any value after that, I treat it as a fan estimate. What becomes official are the key milestones, who surpasses whom, by what technique, mental state, and risk. The Room of Spirit and Time mainly increases maturity, not just strength. That's why Goku tells Vegeta, yeah, I'm stronger than you, because even if Vegeta used the Room of Spirit and Time, he wouldn't gain much more of an advantage. He might only boost his power by a few percent, but Goku returns more efficient, and Gohan learns to keep going without losing control. Vegeta shows that power without judgment leads to humiliation when his pride lets Cell absorb 18, ending his chance. This is narrative, using strength to show character. For example, Vegeta's decision led to Goku's death. He and Trunks together could have killed Cell in his second form. Have you considered that? Later, there's the father-son Kamehameha. Gohan stops a wave that would have overwhelmed anyone else. With Goku's support, helping him focus and channel all his power in a straight line. And Cell's regeneration, energy absorption, and core. Goku's boost helped Gohan overcome everything. In the end, Gohan joyfully falls to the ground. This is also quite representative. Trying to fit all this into a power-level spreadsheet would crash it. All calculations can be estimated, and that's fine. They don't need to be 100% accurate. The heavens fight for entertainment, which defies the logic of power and efficiency. The Allies spend entire turns in support roles. There is control over the scene, there are people protecting the perimeter, there are distractions, a lot of things that can interfere with the fight, especially in a real fight. This Cell Saga fight was meant to reflect maturity, not just showcase a new hair color, right after. In the Buu Saga, the measuring stick is no longer relevant. Fusion, absorption, magic, candies that turn into fighters, sealing. Akira Toriyama didn't care about anything else. It's the arc with the most hacks in the main story, special abilities that completely change the fight. Not necessarily depending on strength. You wouldn't defeat Majin Buu by being stronger, you would only defeat Majin Buu with the right tool. Majin Vegeta blows himself up and Buu comes back as if nothing happened. Gotenks uses wild creativity to make openings, while Mystic Gohan relies on skill and confidence to become more straightforward. Still, he gets tricked and absorbed by Majin Buu, so the fight always depends on the situation. Battles in temples, other worlds, empty planets, or arenas with barriers all make a big difference. In the Tournament of Power, flying was banned. The stage matters. Buu can use attacks that break the crust. Super Saiyajin Goku's presence shakes the other world's sky. When the story focuses on the human side, the fights become smaller, like Goku versus Beerus on Earth. It didn't make sense. Their clash of fists was threatening the universe. Basically, the direction doesn't care about that at all, because they care about character development and not about calculations or total script logic. Does that mean the characters don't have that kind of power? No. The more the series focuses on technique and state, the less it makes sense to view power as linear. It's determined by tool access, per second cost, and staying calm. From here on, Jiren's fights use math as a metaphor, which is where Super establishes itself. Here, the script guides you and says, forget the numbers, focus on the how. The Super Saiyajin God ritual leaves a legacy in Goku. He loses his divine aura, but stays just as efficient, absorbing Super Saiyajin God to show adaptation. Blue comes as a working mode. It's more powerful, but also more costly. You use it when it's worth the cost. Initially, Goku uses Blue carelessly and suffers any loss in performance. Later, Goku learns to activate Blue partially using brief flashes of Blue. In the middle of combinations with Super Saiyajin God and in Super, what makes it clear that technique beats some raw power stat is Hit, who's basically the spokesperson for that. In my view, he doesn't really have anything over Goku except time. The time skip completely changes the game. Goku's solution isn't inflation or boosting his Kai. It's about shifting rhythm, reading the opponent, and building small changes to break the pattern. When Goku tried, in the manga, to fully raise his ki to use the maximum of Super Saiyajin Blue's brute strength against Jiren, it didn't work. Simply adding power means you'll lose to someone with the right tool. Eventually, villains begin to scale differently. Goku Black evolves through pain and using the stolen body. Zamasu is immortal, so the solution becomes coordination and sealing. Toppo adopts Hakai, which ignores conventional defense. All this shows that power in Super is a vector, not just magnitude. The right direction at the right time. Lacking direction can defeat you even if you're stronger. In the Tournament of Power, the stage forbids killing. The arena has containment systems and the deities must protect the space for the fight. That's why absurd attacks don't destroy the ring constantly. And it brings up the question I always ask when I read about inconsistency. It can be incoherent, but it's not inconsistent. Collateral damage was avoided because there was an audience, rules, and a tactical goal other than destruction. If the answer is yes, it's coherent. Dragon Ball is consistently incoherent, making its fighting system incoherent within its own logic. Totally bizarre, but it goes further. Ultra Instinct centers on the mental toll. It's not an automatic multiplier. The Omen forms are a gateway with less power per second, but learning to be precise. A silent heart perfects the form. Stronger emotions bring more noise and reduce precision. Goku gets beaten when he tries to use the complete form under pressure, but he learns to modulate it in some stages. In the manga, he uses a quoted version true to himself, allowing emotion and trading some purity for stability. The narrative drives the tool. Broly, however, defies all logic. Goku and Vegeta need to stop thinking about more power and start thinking about how they're going to stop this guy. The answer was a technique, synchronization and fusion. Because it solves the specific problem of that fight, which is an opponent who scales through feedback. After that, the manga keeps introducing new ideas. Moro, the planet-devouring sorcerer, puts a time limit on the fight. If you don't finish it, you end up running out of Kai. Granola targets vital points. You don't need to be stronger, but you need to defend against that. Goku tests this by shifting his vital point at the last second. This is a pure martial arts concept with applied biomechanics. This phase shows that the current Dragon Ball values engineering more than power levels and pure strength in combat, mainly also because of how the new narratives are made. I don't think Dragon Ball Super manga is better than Z, but I do believe many new things will be introduced going forward. And regarding the last official thing we have, superhero, as Earth is in the spotlight, Goku and Vegeta train in the philosophy of fighting. Vegeta wins by a micro advantage in energy management, with both of them in their base form. Meanwhile, the story shows a monster that requires collective coordination, a mental map of the city, rescue, and cover. What is the fight against Cell Max? This seems inconsistent for those who focus on numbers, but it makes sense to narrative readers. The focus is on what's bigger, not what's right. Soon they'll link it with the end of Z, making everything magically seem coherent. How do you watch Dragon Ball Super and interpret the powers calmly? Here's how I do it. First, I identify the arc's dramatic question. Can the hero mature enough to become selfless? The team learns to coordinate different tools. Technique X breaks defense. Why? Then I read the feats within that scope. Who tanked what? Which attacks would break the defense? Which decisions shifted the pace? If fan numbers show A is above B, that's fine. If it distracts from the scene's message, I ignore it. Dragon Ball was never really about who has the most Kai. It's about investment know-how, cost per second, using the right tool, and staying calm when it matters. That's why Kuririn, Master Roshi, or Android 17 sometimes stand out among monsters. They spend carefully and follow the rules set by the scene. And speaking of knowing how to invest, don't forget to click the link in the description below to open your account at MB. Bitcoin, which has surged over 1,000% in 5 years, is now on the platform. Invest 50 Rs in Bitcoin and get 25 Rs extra credit. You can also choose to invest in Bitcoin. You're free, so don't miss this chance. It'll pass quickly. And you can even secure your future and your families, as well as your freedom. That's it, guys. Link in the description. Don't waste time. And that's basically it. That's it for now. I'm out.